Single parenting isn't easy. We understand. Most parents don't plan to go it alone, but you can still make the most of this journey for your children and yourself. In fact, if you and your family are on that journey, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Single Parent Advocate community and to our podcast. And here are your hosts, single parent founder Stacy Poitras, and broadcast journalist, single dad and friend, Daryl Moody.
All right, folks, you found us, the Single Parent Advocate podcast. I am Daryl Moody, joining you from my home studios here in Orlando, Florida. Stacy Poitras, she is the Single Parent Advocate. She's in those beautiful
everybody.
SPA studios there at the Venture X Louisville, the Realm at Castle Hills in Dallas, Texas. And we're joined again by Brent Sutcliffe. Of course, he is using his Twitch channel, Rack TV, all to raise money for Single Parent Advocate. How was your week, guys? How are we?
I've been doing really good. We have totally been hitting the ball out of the park with all of our school supplies. Got a huge thank you to say to Matthew 6 Ministries, and I think even some more folks that are going to be coming alongside of us. So I have boxes, Daryl, boxes and boxes of school supplies in my living room and getting ready to load in and start sorting and stuffing into backpacks. And then, coming back from vacation is kind of crazy. I have been so busy. It has really been, hard to stay on top of everything. I felt like, I'd worked a little bit while I was there on my vacation, but I think I only worked enough just on the urgent things that were timely. And then when I got back, it was like, whoa, Katie, bar the door. Yeah.
Well, that's what we want to talk about this week, because it is the summertime and you just got back from vacation. I've got a vacation this weekend. Many American families are planning their vacations, but for single parents, no vacation is just a vacation. A vacation is an adventure in and of itself. But you and I are both kind of taking personal trips. You went down to the Bahamas with some friends. I'm going to go fishing with my buddies. But let's start with your vacation. I'm way more jealous of yours. Where you were in the Bahamas? Where were you? What did you do? Who are you with?
All right, so I have a really, really dear friend from church. We've been friends for more than 15 years, and she moved to Florida right before the COVID pandemic really shut us all down last March. And so she literally moved to Florida, her and her dog, got her apartment, moved in, and then the world shut down. And so I haven't ever gone to see her apartment. So the whole idea about me going to see her when it was safe to travel again and everything has kind of been floating around for a while. Well, it turns out, for her birthday, she had another girlfriend who has property in the Bahamas. And so we basically accompanied her friend to the Cat's Meow on Elbow Cay, and we had a girls' trip. Kat had a lot of work to do on her home or on her property there, and so she, was kind of busy, and so it was sort of like a working, kind of calm, but not calm vacation, because it was Elizabeth's birthday also, so we had to do a lot of frolicking. But we went to a place called the Firefly for sunset, and we went to a restaurant one night, and every day we'd walk on the beach. We went on a boat ride and went snorkeling at Rainbow Reef, and just really, I think the thing I learned was how devastated the Bahamas really were and are still bouncing back from after Hurricane Dorian back in 2019. It really flattened everybody's property. They went for a year and a half without power. And now that people are back, and particularly homeowners there, or people that have cottages and houses that they lease out for like Airbnb or what is it called? VRBO, where they have vacation rentals by owner. Yeah.
Timeshares, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So these properties, the roofs came off. I literally took a picture of, there's a door standing and a stairwell going to nowhere, and they weren't connected anymore. And so it was really eye-opening watching how everybody's really, coming back. We even went to a different island called Man of War, And Man of War was flattened even worse. Literally, it had a sale. There's a shop there that they makes purses and bags and things like that out of sailing material. And that's supposed to be like this really great place to go, great souvenir, especially if you're a girl. And they were literally working in their yard, had built a temporary building, and everybody was so grateful to have some visitors. So sure. It was beautiful. The water was turquoise. I saw all kinds of fish. But I would say that the main thing for me was I got to see my dear friend after this pandemic, after her moving, and I was so grateful. And, because we stayed at Kat's house, that was the only reason why I would have been able to do something like that. It would have been inordinately expensive for me to go and rent a property like that. So her generosity was awesome.
But not to mention a lot of the infrastructure there to support tourists just isn't back up and running yet, especially where you were. You talk about Hurricane Dorian. I can remember covering that storm in 2019, and I actually went down to West Palm Beach where we were expecting it to make landfall in Florida, and it just sat over the Bahamas for 48 hours and just wrecked. Grand Bahama Island at Freeport was really bad. Just massive devastation. I don't think they'll ever have an accurate death count as far as how many people lost their lives in that storm. Just a real mess. But you can't get past how beautiful it is.
It was beautiful. It was interesting. Yeah, like I'm sitting on a flattened or walking, on a flattened church foundation that they had a cross and overlooking the ocean on Man of War Cay, and it was weird. Like in one direction is all of this natural beauty and colors of water I've never seen before, and right next to me is devastation. There's no way to put it all back together again. I'm sure they will.
Point, one of the best ways to help the island recovery is to go on vacation to the Bahamas and spend money. I mean, they need that revenue, as badly now as ever. So it's great that you were able to get down there.
Well, I was able to see an old friend and make some new friends and kind of unplug. And I really haven't been on a girls' trip in a long, long time. And so, it was good medicine for me to be with my sisters. It really was.
I've got a boys trip myself this weekend. I'm going to be going to a little town called Homosassa on the Gulf Coast of Florida here. It's a little further north of Tampa. They call it the Nature Coast. No beaches, that sort of thing. It's more estuaries. And there's the cool thing about where I'm going in Homosassa is you can actually go dive, snorkel by a coral reef there in Homosassa Bay, get on the boat, take about 30 minutes and go inland, and you're at Homosassa Springs, whereas you and I talked about before we started recording the show, you can actually swim with the manatees. It's a really neat place. We've got a fish camp right on the water. It's going to be myself and 4 or 5 guys that I grew up with. And we do this. This is our 3rd summer taking the fishing trip to Homosassa. And it's just, especially as a single parent, those kinds of trips like the one you just took are so important for kind of recharging our batteries. But not only that, it's important to stay connected to the people who knew you before you were a mom, before you were a dad. It's those friendships for me, in the case of my friends, I've known these guys 30, 40 years. We all grew up together. And it's just so important to take that time for yourself.
Yeah, one of the things that we were talking about is how when you get away, you also kind of have a open mind. Your mind opens up about different options, whether you're thinking through, like career or job items. Like I was thinking about different ways that I could expand my advertising agency, or expand some of the services. And, I don't think while I was just doing all the tasks here, through the week, I would have thought about that, and so it was really pretty cool, talking about, a lot of videography and things that we do, and taking it, maybe down a different business vertical than what we've been working with only right now, which is largely hospitality. So, yeah, it can kind of recharge your batteries. Getting out and about can help expand your mind, and I don't know, adventure is fun. I'm an adventurer too. So, what kind of fish do you catch there?
Well, last year we caught redfish, caught a snapper, caught sheep's head, I want to say, maybe. Can't remember exactly, but the thing that I enjoy about the fishing trip that we do every year is we eat what we catch, and we're staying at a fish camp. So, just take the boat back into the dock, clean your fish right there. There's usually some sort of wildlife waiting for you to pick at the scraps that you throw there in the water. And yeah, we fish, we cook it up right there. I mean, there is no better seafood in the world than redfish right out of the bay.
Oh, wow. So, Brent, tell me and Daryl, what are your vacation plans and what's your take on vacationing and how it helps us?
I think that Daryl really hit it on the money, that it doesn't matter where you do it or how you do it. It's the idea of recharging. Because we go so hard with everything that we do, and from a single parent perspective, especially having to balance work and kids, you can get pretty fried doing all of that every day, and you guys are both single parents. I fortunately have someone to help me in that regard, but I mean, still being both mom and dad and dealing with groceries and dinner and school and homework, you just got to get away and recharge every now and then, or else you're just going to stay fried, and it doesn't really matter how you do it. You can find a way to do it at home if you need to, and it's just the thought of recharging your batteries sticks with me, so there are some jobs I'll do from time to time where I'll drive and I can find a few minutes there to just kind of recharge and think, and it feels a bit different and out of the way, and you just got to. It's perfectly healthy, absolutely healthy to do that.
I like the idea of staycations. My son and I, when he was young, we had a timeshare. And so I would drive to the timeshare usually because I couldn't afford to pay for the timeshare and the airfare. So we'd load up in the car and I'd get an audiobook or something for us to listen to, and we'd drive. We drove from Texas to Florida all the way down to Key West and back one year. And,
Nice.
For some people, the drive is not a part of the vacation. But for us, I really feel like the drive is part of the vacation because we were listening to stories. He was taking naps. We had, neat places to go eat along the way. And I'd always try to find like a new place for us to stop, and have like a little bit of an adventure even on the road, But then there were other times where, I couldn't go to the timeshare or pay for the airfare, either one, and I had staycations, and so I'd, try to find things around Dallas, Fort Worth area for us to go do, or, maybe just North Texas. I think a good vacation, though, too, for us was going to see my dad and my family. They live in South Texas, so it takes about 10 hours to drive there. Back in the day, they also had a period of time where they lived in the Tucson, Arizona area. And so 16 hours to drive there. So sometimes we would just load up and go see the family. We talked about, the value of going to see friends, but sometimes you go see your family, it's awesome to just go and rest and let them love on your kids and let you have a little bit of break and get some TLC yourself.
Well, you talk about staycation, Stacy. I'm spoiled where I live. I mean, I live at the vacation capital of the world. So, we did a staycation back in April. We stayed at the Cabana Bay Resort at Universal Orlando, and never left the hotel. Honestly, we didn't even go to City Walk. We were supposed to go to City Walk one of the nights, and my sister came down with her kids and stayed. We both got rooms, and it was awesome. They've got resort pools. Staycations are great. If you live somewhere where they have those kinds of amenities, Dallas has a lot there as well. But to your point about staycations, we're lucky, and I'm only an hour away from the beach, so we usually do a Labor Day beach weekend as well.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Oh,
Brent.
no, I was just going to say, to add to both of those points, like DFW does have a lot of stuff to do, and to Stacy's point, my son and I, the last time we drove out west to see my folks, we actually stopped at the Grand Canyon and stopped at several little places. It's like you said, to make a little adventure out of it. Because my folks live about 3 hours north of LA. So we stopped and went into Universal and stopped there for the day and saw some of the shows and did some of the things there. And my son was talking about that the other day, wanted to go again sometime. So I was like, well, maybe someday when we can drive out west again, that'd be cool as well. But I was just throwing that in there. It brought up a neat memory when you're talking about just driving and seeing places, things like that.
Well, and in the Universal, they have a new roller coaster. If I do remember, what's it called? The Raptor?
The Velocicoaster.
The Velocicoaster.
Yeah. Velociraptor or something like that.
Oh, man. I saw an advertisement for that. I need to go to the Velocicoaster really bad. It's going to be awesome when I get there. But I think that, if we're to talk about the importance of vacations, and ideas and things like that, I think where I'm headed in my life is sometimes the vacation is part of my life plan. Like I have to budget for it. I know I need to get away. I have to budget time for it. I have to, prepare for it so I can go, and I would be in my own priority system. Like there's some things I would do without just so I could go on vacation. If it was an either or scenario, I probably, would give up something in my regular everyday budget just to make sure I could get out of town at least once a year. What about you guys?
You talk about the theme park, Stacey. My problem is I grew up here, so I tell people all the time, you're never going to have as much fun at Disney World as I did from like 1986 to like 1992. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's not fair to like cheat my kids out of that experience. So, I find myself, begrudgingly going over to the theme parks with the kids. And it's just, I take for granted that, I've had it my entire life and my kids are like, no, we want to go to Disney. We want to go to Disney. And I'm like, come on, Disney's old, but it's not old to them. So for me, the challenge is, I'd much rather go to the beach and post up somewhere and watch the waves crash, but I have to remember that, I have little girls and they love princesses and there are plenty of princesses.
You got to get the spark back in your eyes, Daryl, and make it all new again, You've got to find something new.
To your point, I have kind of found that watching my kids experience that stuff for the first time.
Oh, well, see,
I never rode the Dumbo ride, but I rode it with my youngest one, Claire, and I was like, wow, how did I never ride this before? And it was great. So yeah, for me, the first time I saw my kids light up, on a ride or seeing Mickey for the first time, like that was like, okay, now I understand why we're doing this.
Yeah. Well, and I here in Dallas, we have Six Flags and we have all different kinds of water parks and things like that. And I see what you mean about, wow, okay, it's time to go back to Six Flags for our annual Six Flags trip, But, think about a way to make it interesting and fun. Like, if life gives you a do-over and you get to do it over, then, what are you going to do differently while you're there or discover, to make things a little more fresh, I think that's a really good advice. I used to love to go on museum tours also. When my mom was alive, I would go to the art museums with her or wherever we could go, the science museum or different things, and we'd all go around town, and as much as she could walk and as much as she could take, we would go, and then we'd always have lunch, and I'd take her home, but I think, just finding an escape, whether it's close to your home or with family or with friends or a long escape or a short escape, the idea is to take some time to unwind and refresh your batteries. Mm-hmm. And, curiosity, find something you're curious about and learn about it and go see it, like glass blowing. I always loved glass art, I like to go watch people do glass blowing. And now that it's opened back up for a little bit for us all to travel and to do that, it'd be really a shame to lock yourself in for too much of a time. We've all learned what it's like to be locked in, right?
Well, and I'm afraid we might be learning again what that's like with they're talking about this fourth surge and the Delta variant. And, here in Florida, the cases, the positivity rate where I live in Orange County is basically tripled in the last 3 weeks. They're talking about masks again. It's scary, man, for the people who aren't vaccinated. I mean, I'm vaccinated, so I'm not really worried about catching anything, but I don't know. We could be back to locking down and stay at home 3 weeks to stop the spread again, but I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out.
Well, in that case, we will be having a vacation in our backyard and talking about backyard vacations and adventures again, which is also fun,
Oh, we could all set up a tent in our living rooms and do the podcast from inside the tents.
Yeah.
The Camping Out edition.
That's right. And a tent in the backyard with some chimenea and, make the best of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can do a lot of times is plan for the worst and hope for the best and, make those memories. Cause a lot of times, there were a lot of bad times we had growing up, but man, I remember the good times my parents don't even remember. I'll bring that up to my dad from time to time, and he doesn't even remember it, but I just remember him taking me to Denny's as like a 6 or 7 year old. And we had a shake and we talked. And he's like, I don't remember that. I was like, it's just a good memory. But, and we could think about the theme parks and all that stuff. And, you could think about the waves crashing, Daryl, and your girls may just remember Dad on the Dumbo ride with me someday. And that's going to stand out and you're going to be like, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you, Brent, bring us up to speed with everything you're doing there with Rack TV and I know you're raising money for Single Parent Advocate. Bring us up to speed on that effort.
Well, it's just been doing the course, talking about it, spreading the word. I hear soon I have about $325 or so more to donate. I'm going to keep dropping in and working on some plans because I've just been blessed that the audience is growing, that there's going to be more I'm going to be able to do. That's more time to get the word out. And so working on the next set of event plans and hopefully have some more stuff to go badink-a-dink right into the SBA bucket. And that's maybe another parent and maybe another kid, maybe another set of school books that we can do, to put some hope in the mix.
Amen.
People need it. People need it.
I was just going to say that money is going to go, immediately toward the back to school efforts that you are doing there, Stacey. And I know you touched on it earlier, but just kind of, where are you in that effort?
So far we have about 100 families signed up. 100 families usually turns into 300 or 350 children and teens and students. We should call them students in this setting, I guess. But so we'll be like Christmas elves. It's like Christmas in July for back to school. We'll be sorting all the supplies. Like I said, I have all the supplies coming and several people at Matthew 6 Ministries leaning in to make sure that we get all of them gathered and sorted, and it's all going down. We'll be measuring people for bicycles for Christmas. We always love to get a family at least one bicycle because that's a form of transportation and exercise all at the same time. And then, and we've already got plans going for Thanksgiving with a big group in the area where we'll be doing turkeys and food like canned goods and stuff for Thanksgiving meals and diapers and all kinds of outreach at Thanksgiving as well. So it's really been busy, and I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful.
Are there any deadlines coming up for families who want to take advantage of this, that sort of thing?
I have sent a note out on Meetup to all of the families that we have on our Meetup group that if they would like to participate in the back to school distribution, to please email me, and that's STACIE Stacy.Poythress at singleparentadvocate.org, and I will personally make sure that we get them added to the list. They will, Daryl, have to register. So what added to the list means is they'll be sent a link to register, and all registrations need to be done by the end of this week. So it's something to really be on top of, but I'll send out another note and make sure everybody gets it who wants to attend. But, it's exciting. I mean, lots of schools and lots of school districts have backpacks and school back to school celebrations and events. What I love about what we do is it's really about making sure the parent is equipped to equip their child. And like we talked about before, I think a couple of times is, it's one thing to give a backpack to a child, and it's another thing to empower their parent to give it to them. And so we really put a lot of pre-work into this, and these backpacks are stuffed to the brim. And so hopefully, if there's anything left out, a parent really only has to go and get a few items versus, spend hours and hours in the store trying to figure things out. So it's a time saver. It saves a little bit of money for the family. And then for the single parents themselves who are in college, I love giving these school book scholarships because school books can cost so much. And so we've got a few of those families we'll be giving scholarship money to for that. It'll be good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And of course, anybody who wants to learn about this stuff, go to singleparentadvocate.org. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all under Single Parent Advocate.
That's it.
Well, I think that's all we've got for you guys this week, right, Stacey? Anything else? Did I leave anything off the agenda? Brent?
No, I mean, we about covered it. I think that's great. I'm thinking about the water you're going to be listening to, Daryl.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Not much talking, just the ripple of the water.
I will be on a dock before the sun goes down Friday night. Of that, I assure you. With a fishing pole in my hand.
See, I just find that fascinating that's the difference between a guy's trip and a girl's trip is the amount of words. Because girls will be talking and catching up, guys will be fishing, and it's okay to not say a word.
Yeah. We were doing that. We were talking. Ooh. But there were times on the beach it was really nice. We would just sit and listen to the water and go for walks. Sometimes we'd walk together, sometimes we'd walk apart, But yeah. Vacation, we all need one. We all need to take one. Stay connected to our friends. Refresh our minds.
If you're listening to the show, if you're watching us and you're thinking, wow, should I take a trip? Yes, you should take a trip. Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to take care of yourself. Life's an adventure, and it's meant to be lived.
It certainly is. All right, I'm going to catch some redfish for you guys this weekend.
I'll be looking for some pictures.
All right, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.
Bye.